Hi guys, welcome back. So today you'll need the magic clip or a clipper of choice, a trimmer of choice, a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 1.5. So today I'm going to show you a basic way to cut kids hair during the summer, and basically we're going to do the 3-2-1 technique. Is where you fade down. So at the top I'm going to detangle his hair, then I'm going to attach the number 3 comb, and then I'm going to run the number 3 through the top of his head. This technique right here is called against the grain, and it's where you take the clipper and you go against the natural growth of the hair. When you go against the grain, the hair is going to be shorter. If you go with the grain, which meaning you're going with the way the hair grows, it means the hair is going to be longer. So today we're going to go against the grain, and we're just going to run that number 3 all the way through the top, just getting most of the long pieces and most of the bulk out of it. And then I'm going to show you what I do when I go back through with the number 3. So after I get most of the hair off, I'm going to run back through with the brush, get all those extra loose hairs, and then I'm going to go through the top again with the number 3 and make sure everything is nice and neat and even on top, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Y'all, look how sleepy he is. He looks so grumpy in this video. I promise he's a happy-go-lucky little guy. But yeah, he is very sleepy in this video. Okay, so I'm going to take our number 2 guard, and then I'm going to attach it to our clipper if I can ever get the comb attachment on there. Make sure your clippers are off when you try to attach the comb. So I'm going to take the number 2, and I'm going to brush out the hair first before I go around the head with the number 2. So right under that number 3, I'm going to take at the highest point of the side of the head, and I'm going to take that number 2 comb, and I'm just going to go at a diagonal direction, and I'm going to fade or transition the hair. And we're just going to go around the head. As you can see, this boy is trying to fall asleep on me. If you have a sleepy kid who likes to fall asleep while you're cutting their hair, make sure you just keep the one of your hands on top of the head, not really pressing down, just kind of holding it there so he doesn't fall asleep and the head drop while you're trying to fade. So next we're going to take our 1.5, and I'm going to brush out the hair, and then I'm going to go right underneath that number 2, and I am going to fade right underneath that number 2, and I'm going to go around the head just like I did with the number 2. And it looks like I'm rough, or I'm going like super fast, but really I'm just lightly going through and combing the hair basically. So I'm just going to go around the head, and I'm going to make sure all of it is even and not crooked. That brush really helps a lot because it allows you to see what spots you missed, and it also keeps the loose hair away. As you can see, I'm going up a little bit higher with the 1.5 at an angle, only because that helps fade out and transition the hair nicely. So as you see, I'm just going around the head and making sure everything is nice and neat and faded, and he's falling asleep, so I have to keep trying to get his head to stay straight so we don't have a crooked fade. So next we're going to take our 1, but we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to attach the 1 to the clipper, and we're going to open it. This is what we call a high 1, which is also a 1.5, but it's a little bit tighter than the 1.5 comb. So we're going to go right underneath that 1.5 comb, and we're going to go with the 1 high or 1.5 manually, and we're going to go around the head, and we're just going to fade out any of the lines, transition all the hair, make sure it's even, nice and neat and even. right, now we're gonna close the 1.5 and use a 1. Make sure the head is straight so we don't get any cricket lines or one side is higher than the other. So we're just gonna go through and we're gonna do that 1 on the bottom. And he's very ticklish, so if you see him like flinching or moving his head, that's why. At the bottom of his neck and around his ears, he is super duper ticklish. But yeah, we're just gonna take that 1 and we're gonna go at the bottom and we're just gonna fade out the rest of that hair. And you should see how clean it is in the next clip. Alright guys, so I'm gonna show you how I fade the back. So basically from here, we're just going to go up with the 1 at a diagonal direction, and that's just going to fade out any line and make sure everything is even and nice and neat. And he has a really bad calic at his neckline, so I like to go all kinds of directions with the bottom of his hair. And as you can see, I'm just going at an angle, and it looks like it faded out nicely and transitioned very neatly and clean. So here I'm going to open that 1.5 again, and I'm just going to go back through and get any loose hairs to make sure all of it is nice, neat, and clean. And I'm going to take that brush and I'm just going to go over the spots that I already faded out and make sure everything is nice and neat and clean. And I'm just going to speed this up here for y'all so y'all can just see what I'm doing. Now I'm just going around the ears, like I said, and I'm going to take that 1 and I'm just going to fade out the rest of the hair and make it nice and neat and low and clean. And like in between, if you see like any loose spots or puffy hairs like you see on the side, I'm going to take that 1.5 and I'm going to open it and I'm going to go over those puffy parts to make sure everything is nice and even and faded out so that we don't look like we have a pineapple head or like a puff on the side of the head. You see how much of a difference that made? And I'm going to go back through with that too on the highest part of the sides of the head, and I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and neat and clean and faded perfectly. As y'all can see, this brush is a lifesaver, so I'm going to go back over that 1 calic on the bottom of his neck with that 1. I'm going to go sideways, up and down, and everywhere else to make sure that he is nice and even. And then I'm going to take my trimmers and I'm going to round him out because my son has a very round neckline, so I'm going to go with his natural flow of the neckline. You can do square, which is basically a straight line on the back and then following the lines on the sides by the ear. Alrighty, so here I'm going to show y'all how I do his outline, which I'm just going to make clean straight lines go around the ears. He's ticklish, as you can see. He's trying so hard not to laugh. And then I'm going to go in a C motion to make sure his tape line is nice and crisp. See, just rocking it out with a C motion, making sure he's so ticklish. And then I'm going to tap right there on the side to make sure that line is straight. Alrighty, so for the tape line, I take a comb and I make sure all his hair is pushed nice and forward, and then I'm just going to start from the middle and I'm going to tap, and then I'm going to go from side to side, making sure that his line is nice and straight. As you can see, he's got a really mean calic in the front as well. So yeah, I'm just tapping lightly because these trimmers are really sharp. Guys, this part is definitely optional. I know a lot of people don't like their kids to be lined up, but my son's hairline is atrocious. So I go in and I just lightly tap and make sure he's nice and clean and neat. And he likes his tape line to be very crisp. So I'm going back through with that brush. And I'm going to make sure, as you can see, that one spot in the front, making sure everything is nice and neat and that he doesn't have any stray hairs. Just go through and just tap very nice and lightly. And these are the finished results. As you can see, nice and clean, super easy. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below.